Bow hunting whitetail deer in the late season. That's what this video is all about. Hunting deer in the late season. Right now it's January the 3rd and we've got about 11 inches of snow on the ground. I got up in the stand around 3 and at 3:20 I saw my first couple deer.
It's super cold, so the deer are up moving already. I'm only looking for a buck today. See what happens.
These deer came out about about 40 minutes later. This is around 4 o'clock and it gets dark a little bit after 5. So I filmed these couple deer for a while. And I thought, man, this is great. I'm having a great sit so far, even though it's crazy cold out. And I mean, we've had days where the high's been about 9 degrees, 8 degrees. This particular day went all the way up to like 20 degrees. So I figured I gotta get out. But even in 20 degrees, it was pretty cold. Eventually, I had a group of 5 start working their way toward me. And in this scenario, I do have a doe tag. But I decided before I even went out, I'm only hunting for a buck, and I've got a buck tag. It's just so cold. The temps are just not my favorite, so I'm only going to make the effort because I process all of my deer myself. It's a large undertaking when I harvest a deer. I mean, it's essentially 2 days worth of work, you know, with all the processing. So I'm filming these deer, and they're coming. I mean, obviously, I picked the right spot. I was happy about that. Just no bucks in the group. They are straight upwind of me this whole time, and I am concerned about when they get on the downwind side of me, because that's ultimately the direction they're going. They're gonna pass me. I also put together my game plan to approach my tree stand not only from the downwind side, but also in a way that I would get an opportunity to shoot at a deer before it came to my tracks. So that's a tip for you if you ever have an opportunity to, even if you have to go out of your way a little bit, to walk to your stand from a side where the deer will have to pass you before they can smell where you walked or see where you walked if you're in the snow. I strongly advise you to do that. These deer worked their way past me, and eventually I just turned the video camera off because my hands were numb and I figured I had enough footage. But when they got on the downwind side of me and got to where they could see and smell my tracks, they started to get a little bit alarmed because they were not only seeing my tracks, but they were straight downwind of me and getting little whiffs of me. Even though I do everything I can to do the scent elimination thing, it's, you know, I've come to realize that it really doesn't matter what you do. A lot of times the deer still smell you a little bit. And in this situation, with all the extra gear being so late in the year, I just resolved that I got to play the wind. I'm not even going to worry about complete scent removal. I mean, I still try, but I accept the fact that the deer are going to smell me, so I play my cards that way. Well, in fact, when the deer got to where they saw my tracks in the snow, that's when they got nervous, and I just stayed still. And they eventually, although they were alarmed, they continued to walk downwind of me. And one of the deer of the 5, when they all got a little bit alarmed, the one deer decided to turn back, even go upwind of me again to where it couldn't smell me anymore. Well, when that deer did that, there was another group of deer coming my way at the same time, another deer or two, and the one deer saw the other deer running back, then it ran back, and there was a second deer behind it that was coming that also turned back. So that kind of messed up my hunt a little bit. But then the other 4, when they saw that the 5th deer never came, they ended up turning back like I think maybe 25 minutes later, and they all went back through. But in the meantime, I mean, I had deer all over me. There was this, I couldn't believe the amount of deer movement I was getting. It was exciting. I was having fun, even though there was no bucks out of the 12 deer I was watching. I was still happy to at least be seeing deer the whole time. And you know, when you get into the late season, it certainly is tough to be successful. You know, you got a lot of clothes on. It's hard to draw your bow. There's a lot of factors that make it difficult. So I was glad that I got to see all these deer. And I'll be honest with you, I got in my car to drive to this hunting spot, and I began to say a prayer, not to get a deer or anything, just to pray that God would bless the hunt. You know, and as soon as I started to pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hopefully you know the rest. If you don't, that's definitely a good prayer to learn. I started to say the Lord's Prayer as part of my prayer. And as I prayed those words, I just suddenly had this sense of knowing, which is a gift of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit does guide us in our life. And I knew in that moment, I'm not getting a deer tonight. I knew it. And I wasn't going to fight it. I wasn't going to say, oh, please change your mind. I was like, okay, I'm not getting a deer tonight, but I'm going to go anyway and just see what happens. And I'm glad that I did, because I really had an enjoyable outing. And with the temperatures hitting in the 20s, the low 20s, it's probably the warmest day I'll have an opportunity to hunt between now and the end of the season, which is only about 7 days away. The January 10th is actually 6 days now, because today's the 4th that I'm putting this video together. And I'm actually uploading right now a video on the Hoyt Ventum Pro 30, a bow review. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow to upload this video so that I can space them out at least by 1 day. But remember that tip as far as approaching your stand. Also, if you're someone who prays, listen as you pray. Just listen for God to inspire you, to direct you. You might not hear a word. You might not hear a verbal word like you're hearing me speak right now. You might just get a sudden sense. And you got to learn how to refine that, because the Holy Spirit does guide us in that way. Here's another update. Those of you who have been following my channel know I just left my job, and I did it because I want to pursue more in a Catholic evangelization. That's my passion. Even more so than these videos. It's a little secret that not everybody knows. And I just wasn't getting enough opportunity to evangelize and teach people how to evangelize in the position I was in. And so I left for that, and I was going to wait till about March to start looking for and applying for jobs, maybe even seeing if one opened back east. Well, I said a prayer, and I said, okay, Lord, now that I'm finished with my position, please, let us know what the next step is. The next day, my wife's boss's boss, my wife teaches for University of Iowa in the nursing field, and basically came to her with a proposal that's something my wife has always wanted to do in the teaching world. And it's exciting. And I was like, all right, so it looks like we're staying in Iowa, and we'll see what happens next for my part of the thing. But in the meantime, I'm developing the Sean's Outdoor Adventures. I've got a couple books I'm writing on evangelization as well. But if you want to help support, now that I don't have a salary anymore, I don't have a job anymore, and so I'm working on this stuff and some of my book projects in the meantime. If you see any of the shirts on my YouTube channel, or I just came out with a new design, I'll put a link in the description for those of you who do 3D shoots in the summertime, stuff like that. Please consider, supporting my channel by something like that. There's also a donations option on my website and things like that. I'll provide links if you're interested. But I'm in a position now where I get a little more time to work on my projects, but I need to start converting this to revenue. And those of you who follow YouTube and hunting channels know that they have majorly demonetized like hunting channels and weapons shooting channels, and they consider a bow a weapon. And I've had many of my archery, even an archery video on how to sight in a bow, because I shot a bow in the video. They removed monetization from the video, stuff like that. So it's become much harder for channels like mine. So if you want to support, please do. Sorry for getting a little long-winded here, but at least I was able to overlay a little bit of deer footage in the meantime. Thanks for sticking in there till the end. If you have, God bless you. Stay tuned for future videos. Until next time, take care. God bless. I just said God bless twice. A bunch of times. You got lots of God's blessings coming your way. God bless you.